Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. I got an awesome top deck for you today, a top 25 one, something completely new, something that we haven't covered, and the first of this December season that I will be covering and have covered that isn't something that we've already done. So very, very excited about this. So stay tuned because we're going to talk about the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard. We'll talk about how we combine those two for our best of 3 matches, and then we'll go play some competitive Magic for you in both best of 1 and best of 3 today. So Planeswalkers, before we go check out the deck, as always, I just like to say thank you. I appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on daily videos and content like this coming your way. Now, also, feel free to keep track of my journey down below. I share my Untapped profile for you for transparency. And additionally, please feel free to download the companion app down below as well so that you can share your journey with me. I always appreciate seeing those deck lists and where you're going and questions like that. So, and last but not least, Planeswalkers, other ways to support the channel down below in the description are things like becoming a patron. I'm running an event right now as a kickoff, so feel free to do that. And once you pledge, you're in a entry to win a arena sleeve. And then additionally, you guys feel free to hop into the Discord channel because I like to hang out and I like to see you and I like to talk. So anyway, Planeswalkers, with that said, let's go ahead and check out today's deck. We have a Jund Sacrifice deck. So this particular deck is by a player by the name of Samsoni1. So congratulations. I believe we've covered you maybe once before. So very, very excited about this, and definitely the first player I think for December to cover. So very, very neat. I'm very happy about this. It's really kind of a Rakdos deck because you're splashing green pretty much just for Corvold there. But we'll talk about this here in a second. So Planeswalkers, the deck list is available for you down below in the description. You have access to it right away. Additionally, deck links are down there for you too, if you prefer that route. So first off, for those of you that are new, those of you that are returning, we have Jund. So Jund is the 3 colors for us, giving us black, red, and green, or swamp, mountains, and forest, giving us the Jund color nomenclature there. And then additionally, it is a sacrifice deck because everything in this deck is going to revolve around some sort of sacrifice. So for instance, we got Village Rites. We also have good old Croxa in here as well. So some form of sacrifice component, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Now, this deck is more of what I would call a mid-range to late game deck. So you're really about building your board state, you're building the control state here in the early game, but really focusing on that mid to late range because most of the stuff that's going to do anything on our board comes in at 3 or later. So keep that in mind, Planeswalkers. That is the objective. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to do a quick once pass over through the entire deck so that you guys can see it in its totality. And then as we kind of discuss each of these pieces, you'll get an idea of what's kind of going on here. So very, very excited about this one. I've been trying to play around with a sacrifice version. I've seen a couple different tweaks, but this particular one I really, really enjoy, and I'm happy to be showing this to you today. So first off, we have Bloodchief's Thirst. Here again, sorcery, kicker for 3, so we can either destroy a target creature or Planeswalker for converted mana cost 2 or less. If it was kicked, doesn't matter. And then next we got Village Rites. So as an additional cost to cast a spell, we must sacrifice a creature, but we get to draw 2 cards and reload our hand. Then we have Claim the Firstborn. So here we can gain control of target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less until end of turn, and tap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. So it plays really nicely with Village Rites. We love the stealing. We love to sack our opponent's creatures. Then we have Mire Triton here. So this has Death Touch. It fills our graveyard by 2 cards. And then we also gain 2 life. We have Shredded Sails. So this is a one-off here. We can destroy target artifact, or we can deal 4 damage to target creature with flying. And worst case scenario, we can cycle it for the cantrip for 2. Then we have Croxa, Titan of Hunger's Death. So don't forget to go in full control mode here. You can sacrifice it with Village Rites. Here, when it enters, if it hasn't escaped, you're going to sack it. Each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who doesn't discard a non-land card loses 3 life. And then its escape is 4 there. 2 swamp, and 2 mountains, and then we get to exile 5 other cards from our graveyard to pull this back into play. We have Shatter Skull Smashing, so this is our modal land here, again from Zendikar's Rising. It deals X damage as we choose among 2 either target creatures or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, we get to double that damage. So really, really nice. Early game, mid-range, and late game as well. And then additionally here, we do have, we can pay the 3 for the modal land here and have it come in untapped, or we can have it come in tapped as well. Then we have Time Array Calls the Dead. So this is a saga coming to us from Theros. Here we can mill 3 cards. We can exile a creature or enchantment card from our graveyard. If we do, we get to create a 2/2 zombie creature token. And then we can do that for the first 2. And then at 3, we gain X life, and we scry X, where X is the number of zombies we control. Now, here's a great card, Woe Strider. This was a huge, huge piece in terms of the sack decks of the glory days. But hey, we're in the top 25 here, so this may be the return. So with that said, we got Woe Strider here, enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 white goat creature token. We sacrifice another creature, we get to scry 1, and then additionally it's got a nice little escape here for 5. And we get to exile 4 other cards from our graveyard, and then it enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. We have good old Bone Crusher. So here we get the instant speed adventure where we can deal 2 damage to any target. That damage cannot be prevented. And then again, we got a 4/3 body that if it becomes the target of a spell or ability, deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. We got Kozil's Fury. So this is another sack card. It's like a fling, but it's a modal land. Here, as an additional cost to cast a spell, we can sacrifice a creature. Kozil's Fury deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target, so keep that in mind, or it can come in as a tapped land. We have good old Hagra Mauling as well, so another nice one-off in terms of the modal lands. Here we can destroy target creature, and it costs 1 less to cast if our opponents control no basic lands. And then additionally here, again, it can enter for tapped mana. And then next we have Liliana, Waker of the Dead. So here's a nice Planeswalker card. Each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life for our +1. We get a nice little strap here for where target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is number of creatures in our graveyard. And then last but not least, at down 7, we get an emblem with at the beginning of combat in our turn, put target creature card from a graveyard, so that's any graveyard, onto the battlefield under our control, and it gains haste. Then we got good old Rankle. So Rankle here, Master of Pranks. We got Flying Haste. Whenever it deals damage, we get to choose any of the 3 below. We have each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, and each player sacrifices a creature. Then last but not least, rounding it out and getting it to the actual Jund, so that's the green component here, we have Korvold. So Korvold has got flying. It's a curse. It's the Cursed King. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, we get to sacrifice another opponent or permanent. Sack our opponent. Nice fast game. This guy makes mincemeat out of a lot of games too. Whenever we sack a permanent, we gain we put a +1/+1 counter on Korvold, and we get to draw a card. So very, very powerful. We got a lot of things going on here for us to be able to do this. So very, very exciting. And again, it's any permanent, so a lot of times people sack their lands. So keep that in mind. And as Samson I1 likes to say, it's really 3C Rakdos. Again, you're splashing 4 green here in the event to essentially get Korvold. So, and it's a nice take in terms on the mana base. You know, there's no big rush. You got access to a good green with the modal lands here. We got a lot of other things that we can do and search and really play this deck. So it's really going to take off from the 2 on up, but we still got nice options at the 1 slot, which is really healthy. So that is the main board, Planeswalkers. Questions, comments, let me know. Here to help. Ask down below as always. So let's go ahead now and talk about the sideboard, because we got quite a few options. So first we got Duress here. Our opponent reveals their hand. We get to choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, and then that player will discard that card. So this is going to be very powerful against late game decks and control type decks. So typically anything that's running a Ugin, so that could be mono red, that could be mono black control. You can also run this against anything running Doom. So Esper, Yorion, Orzhov. The Abzan one I just did too. You guys should check that one out. Pretty sweet. That's where you're going to want to play this. You're also going to play this against like true control decks. Those that are either burn or those that are also countering. So something like an Izzet. Then we got Skyclave Shade. So this big one here is all about additional graveyard love. So even though we got players like Crocs that we can bring back, we got players like Wolf Strider that we can bring back, Skyclave gives us another flavor because if we do drop that land, we can bring this back in. So you're going to be playing this against rogue decks and mill decks is where I would be putting this one in. It's also not bad against aggro because you can, even though it can't block, you can also be a little bit more aggressive with it. But again, primarily against those particular ones that I mentioned. Then we got Shredded Sails. So we have one of those already. We covered the card. Where are you going to play this? You're going to play this against a lot of decks that are played in Maze Mind. You're going to play this against the control decks, monument decks, those kinds of things. Absolutely. You can also play it against decks that are running some flying. So if you want to play it against rogues, you can be my guest there as well. And then it's also good against mono white. Taking out things like the Last Casket can be a pain for those kinds of players. Then we have Elspeth's Nightmare. So here we have another saga. So the first one here, we can destroy target creature opponent controls with power 2 or less. Target opponent reveals their hand. We choose non-creature, non-land card. That player discards it. And then last but not least, we get to exile opponent's graveyard. I would play this against rogues. I would play this against mid-range decks. I play this against a mirror match deck. I play this against a Rakdos mid-range. I like it against aggro too, to be honest. It could work well against mono red, also mono red that plays Phoenix or other decks that are looking to optimize Ox, which could be things like Big Red as well. So this is your graveyard removal card. Then we got Farika's Libation. So this is a very, very nice card. I was very happy to see it in here. So it's an instant. Target opponent sacrifices a creature or an enchantment. You're going to play this against the Doom decks. Very, very good spot. Other enchantment decks, you can absolutely pop this one in there as well as you need, but primarily Doom. And then also players that are playing, mono green, food, those kinds of things. This will give you some good juice. And I'm saying that in terms of if you clip them right with things like the wolf, the wicked wolf, they're going to have to sack it instead of dealing the damage, those kinds of things. But again, we got a nice little one off. Then we got an extinction event. So here we get to choose odd or even, exile each creature with converted mana cost of the chosen value. Where would you play this? So big call out to one of the subscribers here, Dan Pham, for calling me out in one of the matches. So I'm going to give you a nice little shout out here. Play this against the Temur decks, the Ovash decks, because everything's odd. So I didn't sideboard that way, but I explained myself in the comments. But that's a great call out, so I do want to give you credit here because it's pretty important. Other places you can play this, you can play it against aggro, you can play it obviously against creature-based decks. Great thought leadership there, I'll say, from a Magic perspective. So you can keep those things in mind. Great spot there. Then we have Liliana, Wake of the Dead. I would play this when you want to lock your opponents out of their hands. I like it also against the ultimatum decks, like we talked about, the Temur decks. I like it against even aggro decks at times on a high end, just because then you're making them top deck, and as long as you continue to have answers, you're going to be just fine. So that's a good spot to play that. Then we got the Akroan War. So the Akroan War is very popular against aggro to mid-range decks, particularly against Gruul aggro. Here we get to gain control of target creature for as long as the Akroan War remains on the battlefield, and then until our next turn, creatures our opponent's control attack each combat if able. Then last but not least, each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So a nice little clear at times, or can work out really nicely. So you're going to play this against other creature heavy type decks. Great against things like mono white, great against enchantments at times, great against any of the aggro decks, great against Gruul aggro like we mentioned. And then last but not least, we have Ox of Agonis. So here Ox We know that when this enters battlefield, we discard a hand, draw 3 cards. We can exile 8 cards, pulls back with its escape for 2, and then it gets a +1/+1 counter on it as well. So great decks to play this against, rogues, those kinds of things. I don't mind it late game as well. I like having that in there. And even if you were to play a rogues deck, you could also just add all this extra stuff in there and go above the 60 to like 64 plus if you wanted, just to kind of hold them off and fend them off from potentially milling you out, and then still have a ton of options and things to play essentially from your graveyard. So great deck. Very excited about this. So we'll talk about how we're going to board now from an aggro, mid-range, and late game perspective. We covered some of the flavors as we're talking about each of the cards individually here from the sideboard. But let's first start with the aggro. So again, these are going to be more faster clip decks like mono red. You could consider mono white enchantments one. Other decks like Boros Warriors or Knights, things like that. So where would I focus? Again, I said you could throw Skyclave Shade in if you wanted to, but realistically what I would play is maybe Elspeth's Nightmare. I may even play Farika's Libration, maybe even Extinction Event. A Crow and War could be one, Liliana or Ox of the Agonis. So let's call it like a good 4 to 5 there that we'd flip out. How many lands is our friend running here? They got 21 plus the modal lands 2, 3, so 24. Very aggressive. 25, very aggressive, which I like. Great for best of 1, great for best of 3, even more so. Prevents flooding, and we still get access with Corvold for the sack. So we're probably not going to touch too many lands. If they are aggro, you're going to dump Shredded Sails. You're going to want to keep these ones most likely because you're going to want to activate this with this. You're going to want to kill their creatures. You're probably going to want to keep this. I dumped these. Time Array is kind of a card for me, or if you do want to fill the graveyard, great. Which is nice. I would maybe drop 2 of these. And then additionally Corvold, Fae, the Curse King, and maybe drop 1 actually, to be honest. So that could be your makeup there to get you to where you want to be. And then if you don't like the Liliana's idea, you could drop Lily as well. So that's 4 to 5 there. I still like Rankle. I like keeping 1 Corvold that can just be a game changer, and the draw is really nice. Maybe even keep that one again and cut something else to kind of get there. You could go down to 3 here. I like the graveyard fill. It's still helpful, but you're also going to be for 3 against an aggro deck. This gets a little bit expensive, so you just want to make sure that you're having some answers here on the board to kind of keep pace. So that gives you a good idea of how you do aggro. Next, when we talk about the mid-range, again, this is things like Rakdos. This could be Selesnya decks. These could be some of the decks that we did, like the Mutate decks. It could also be something like a Sultai mid-range, lots of Golgari, lots of things that could fit in this space. Where would I look to optimize? One, if they're not playing a lot of creatures, you don't need as many Blood Chiefs. You still might want Village Rites. You may not claim the Firstborn anymore. So those are some areas that you could potentially cut. Here you would probably want to keep Time Array Calls the Dead, because you want to get a lot more of your bigger bodies in later game going as well. So keep that in mind. You're probably going to want to keep your Corvold. You're going to want the one over the top. You're probably going to want Lily. So that's kind of where I would look to start. Maybe Duress comes into play. Elspeth's Nightmare is probably going to come into play. A Crow and War could, and Ox of Agonis. A Crow and War only if they're creature heavy, otherwise Ox for reloading. So let's call it a good 5. Again, we already talked about where we'd look maybe here. So as we're moving with the change in pace from aggro to mid-range to late game, we're also moving out of our deck to kind of match that pace as well. So last but not least here, when we talk about the final kind of stages, those control decks, as I mentioned here, and Strategy Sales is always one you can get rid of in the mid-range too. You're going to look to pull in Duress. You may look to bring in a Skyclave Shade if you want to flip it to get a little bit more aggressive. I've talked about that before. That's kind of something that's nice. You may want Elspeth's Nightmare, particularly if they're a Esper Doom deck, to help get rid of Dance the Mance. Frika's Libation's a good one to throw in there. Liliana would be good, and potentially Ox of Gonos. So let's go with like another 5. You're probably going to drop Claim the Firstborn. I might drop like 2 Village Rites. Probably keep the higher end intact there, so that's going to give you 5. You could always drop a Blood Chief's Thirst and Shred Sails as well. So lots of good spots for us. Again, we're shifting our mana cost up to match some of the other things. We're aggressive when we're aggressive. We're hitting the middle game when we need to hit, because we already got mostly that. And then we're shifting on the late game to either becoming more aggressive or trying to go a little bit more head-to-head with some of those things that I mentioned there. So Planeswalkers, that is the Jund Sacrifice deck here. Again, top 25, really, they hit 21, so hats off to Samsoni1 for getting there. All right, Planeswalkers, let's go ahead and play some competitive Magic. I'm very, very excited about this one today. We'll go see. As you can see, I was playing my own Rakdos Sack deck. Super excited about this. Now, again, here's a Boros Control deck you guys can check out from yesterday. Super, super fun. I love Brasher there. So let's go ahead and play our... we'll play our Jund Sacrifice deck. All right. Now, Planeswalkers, questions, comments, let me know down below. Happy to help. As always, feel free to hop in the Discord. Details down there. And then before we get this match started by Sky Bills, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your support. I really do. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on daily content like this. And Planeswalkers, as always, other ways to support the channel down below in the details by becoming something like a patron or feeling free to hop into the Discord channel and hang out with all of us. All right, so I'm going to keep this. I'm keeping this because we got Claim the Firstborn and Village Rites. If we look at the battlefield, we don't quite know what they do. I love the extra life sleeves. So we'll keep this. We'll still play it a little bit. Plus, we got the 2-time arrays here. Looks like we might have a Rogues deck. I guess we'll find out quickly. And if we do, time array is going to be helpful. So this might be more of a control focus. We'll find out. They may have a counter here. Oh, no, it is a Rogues deck. And this should be a really nice matchup for us, actually, for a couple of different reasons, to be honest. One, it's going to give us graveyard fill. So this does give me access to green. I don't need it right now. I did that because I want to make sure I get this. And if they counter, they counter. That's what I was waiting for. And that's why I played it that way. So now we'll claim it again. We're going to go in and attack. Make them mill too. And then we'll sack. Oop. We'll let the damage go first. Getting a little aggressive there. Then we'll sack their guy. Get our 2 land. Get 2 of whatever we need. Now we can play our green. And we're sitting really nicely to get Croxa back in. So we'll do this. We can actually play Croxa already. And I'll let them counter if they want to counter, because Croxa is just going to stay there anyway. Oh, we can live with that for sure. I'm gonna hang on to that. We'll play our green. Play our Croxa. Fill the graveyard. And let's get rid of this guy. So we don't need to worry too much here, because we can pull Croxa back next turn. Look, keep that one. And let us dump. Well, we want to keep some of these. There we go. So we'll gain a little bit of life next turn. We still have the village rights, so we can go into full control next turn and pull that back. We also have Shatterskull Smashing, so we can wipe his board if we need to. Got a lot of different things we can do here. I will take that. This is nice too. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna hit him for 4. Wipe his board. Boom! There you go. That is a dirty deck, my friends. Ooh, that's exactly where I was going to. So very, very nice match for best of one. A rogue hater deck for sure. Nice, nice take here. All right, on to our next match here for best of one. So plays well so far. Played very, very smooth. Nice success. So we got Kyle Pro Bowler. Now, challenge here. Could be a little slow. We do have sack though, and we do have claim. So I like that start. I do like that start. And it's a little mean. So let's look. I'll keep my giant. Mono red control, my friends. So we need to play this a little bit differently. Oh shoot, no, we'll go back. Too fast of a click. I'm gonna play him first. So this will be a nice matchup. So we'll be able to get Corval then, which would be real nice. The other challenge here that's going to be a little bit tricky is going to be I'll put this one in. So I'd like to not play this, but I'm going to do it. Actually, we're gonna bring it in. I need 2 blacks anyway. So here comes Ugin. We're in trouble though here. So the only way I can get him off the board right now is an additional land. So we top deck. So here's what we're doing. We are playing Corval. Okay. We'll sacrifice a land. And we couldn't play Claim of the Firstborn. That's what I was hoping for. Whoops. So they need enough. Oh, they got it. They got it. And they can get the next one, which is too bad. Oh, bummer, bummer, bummer. I think we're in a bad spot, but we'll find out here relatively quickly if they go the exile. Simulacrum is too high. Too high. Oh, and look at that. 6 land flood there. I don't think we're going to recover. Not fast enough, unfortunately. And not much we could do. But that's okay. Nice play. We could have, if we would have brought him back, we could have used Fable and used Claim the Firstborn and tried to attack, but still not enough. I could thin, but let's look and see what we can hit first. Not going to help us. So many lands. Look at that. So many lands. And a horrible, horrible draw percentage. Horrible. Alright, we go good game. We're not going to waste the time today. That was crazy how many lands we drew. But that is magic, my friends. So great first match. Decent second match till it got flooded. Not much we could do once they slammed Ugin with good old nice little pop and drop on turn 5, so good for them. That is how it goes. Whenever you play it, it never works. Whenever they play it, it always does. All right, traditional standard rank. Again, there is the Boros control deck. Let's go ahead and check out this top 25 Jund Sack deck. Loving it. Now, quickly, Planeswalkers, as always, before we play AC20, just want to say thank you. As always, appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. And additionally, other ways to support the channel down below in the description by becoming a patron. Always appreciate that, or hopping in the Discord channel and hanging out, those kinds of things. All right, so here's a tricky one for us. So I like this. I don't like the mana base. I really don't. But I'm going to keep it. So we'll play Fabled Passage here. I'm going to go grab. ahead. So this will be a good match, and a fun one. So we can take this one. We can't sack it yet. So we just need to keep that in mind. I think we go like this. Do this. And if they have cleave, we're gonna hurt. So not much we can do there. Let it hit. So we can get that one for 2. We can get him for 4. I feel like we do this. I think we save that still. Well, then we get Crocs the next turn. So there's the misplay. So I should have pulled him first, then I could have killed. That would have not given him this guy. So that was unfortunate. We'll do this, and we'll take this guy out. That was the misplay there. Always nice to catch those things after you've done it. But now we can get Crocs in. Grab our green just in case. So they can use Kerrigan, but it's not really going to block a bunch for them. They don't have the good old castle either. Alright, so we block like this, then we block here. Oh, it's any warriors. Then we will block here. Uh oh, I missed. Misclicked. Oh boy. Got there. 4. That misclick hurt me. Oh shoot, I misclicked again. Playing way too fast. Way too fast, my best of 3 today. Oh well. I deserve that. I deserve that. So, would have been a little bit different if I would have blocked properly there. Oh, main board of the Patrolman War. There you go. Alright, we'll go to the next game. So, unfortunately, that was some bad play on my end. Let's see. So here, I actually like Extinction Event. I'm going to like Pharika's. We can keep those off. Crowan War is going to help us. Ox will help us. Shred Sails is worthless. We can play Time Array. I do like these. I'm going to drop a couple of those. Corvold is a nice kind of endgame card. We'll keep one. These are nice. I might just drop Corvold, drop the Forest. It's me at 20. Get a little more aggressive, that's fine. Need those. Those help. All that helps. All that helps. Go a little bit more slower matches there. We're going to slow it down a little bit here. There we go. We'll give this the shot. We can play much slower. Try and match. Try and steal. All that jazz. And they're going to do the same thing. Ooh, that is a bad start. Another horrible start. We'll keep the 5 here. 2 cards. I'm actually going to drop these 2. So then I can at least fix. We'll get to 4. I'll take that off the board for now. Ouch. Super ouch there. we need to go even. Here's Cleave. Oh, I would get super punished in my second match for all those terrible, terrible misplays. I don't think there's anything I can do at this point. Well, that is a bummer for a best of 3 super fast today. I am unfortunate, did not play well, did not have a good one, and that was just too fast. So we got flooded in the second best of 1, and then we just could not hit lands in our best of 3 match for the second one. Granted, I did deserve to lose the first match in that, but that is how it goes. So anyway, really like this deck. I think it's pretty awesome. I did not personally, I don't think I did it justice here, but that is magic, and that is how it goes. So Planeswalkers, here's what we got going on again. Jund Sacrifice, top 25 deck. Super solid. I like the splash there for the green. Matchups did not go well for me, but that is how it goes. So if you got questions or comments, let me know down below. Happy to help coach and guide and give you some other pointers, because my play did not connect as nicely as I'd like with this deck. So with that said, Planeswalkers, as always, again, appreciate the support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel, down below, you can find the Discord link to hop in there and hang out with us, or feel free to become a patron. I do deck reviews and those kinds of things for people. So, Planeswalkers, we'll see you again soon. You take care. Very excited about this deck. A lot of fun. But with that said, as always, all fun things come to an end. And until next time, Planeswalkers, you take care. Mythras out, and stay tuned for more content coming your way.